the dot, the iota, to which the Lord is referring as he, the new Moses, sits on the mount and gives the law, are those tiny bits of the Hebrew language which actually, though small, do change the meaning. And the Lord is indicating that this is inspired, divinely given, and is not to be cast aside by his person, but to be understood. He has not come to destroy the law and the prophets. On the contrary, his Spirit gave them to mankind. As we say in the Creed today, the Lord, the giver of life, who has spoken through the prophets. But he means us to understand the deeper meaning of it. And so it is that as the Sermon on the Mount proceeds, he gives us this increasing tirade. You have heard it said, those of old, but I say unto you. And he gives the fullness of the meaning. It does not mean to destroy, but to bring to completion. He is the same Lord who did say of John the Baptist, when people were amazed at his charismatic figure and power in the desert, that he was the greatest of women born, but, he added, the least, the smallest in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. So we have now more than even John, for he was the bridge between old and new. We have the Lord's grace as well, the fullness in the sacramental life. Remember that John baptized in a symbolic way for the forgiveness of sins, depending on their interior attitude. We have the sevenfold stream of sacraments coming at us all the time, if we have access to them. But therefore we have also the fullness of the teaching coming at us through the church which he founded. And that is where I want to land. We have in our day a situation where we have, as it were, presumed. We have grown to maturity, and we also can cast aside the letter. We have what has been known in recent years as the spirit of the council. Or we have another big one, local custom. Well, let's see what's going on this vigil of Corpus Christi. In practice, we had in 1969 the general instruction to the missal that was coming out under St. Paul VI, and we had an adjusting of that 40 years later. We had at the beginning of this millennium the new Editio Typica coming out from the Vatican with the same thrust with regard to the introduction, the general instruction, which is a long document in every missal, still, every big missal anyway. But then we had the fruit of 40 years' experience of the use of the first. And it had been picked up in those 40 years that the one given in 1969 was giving general norms, but which had loopholes and ambiguities. And it was, therefore, the fruit of 40 years that led to the missal that we have now on every altar. And with it, the will of God in the very detailed general instruction which is now there on the altar, the beginning of the missal. precisely dotting the I's and putting those little extras on the T's which make them precise, e.g. how Holy Communion is supposed to be given, how things are to be done in detail. And therefore we have in our day the Lord talking to us in very clear, precise language. But what do we have? The attitude that we are in the Spirit, and therefore the letter doesn't count. Moreover, this is how it's been done for many years here, and we can't change it. And we have also the norm that is in the country, that everyone does such and such. And moreover, we have found this extra way of doing it, which is even better. Do we realize what actually is going on in that scenario, which, by the way, is everywhere? Very few have read the general instruction, lay people especially. Priests should have, and they should know, but they may have read it once and then long forgotten its content, or they may be slightly aware, but in practice it doesn't really matter, does it? Well, it does. Why? The Lord is warning us that the will of the Father is sovereign, and that we who cast aside the indicated will are the least in the kingdom of heaven. So let us look at this. In the act of worship, the main element in operation is the will, the faculty that loves and therefore commands obedience to the other faculties. If in the worship of God there is disobedience, especially when it's conscious, then we are in trouble, because we are not worshipping. We are performing something similar to what Lucifer did. Non serviam, I will not obey. And therefore our worship is enthroning our own will, and we expect the Lord to receive this worship. Let's get this straight. If we honour God, we come to Him not in less but more fear and trembling than those who were formed directly by Him in the early centuries, which our own formation as well, the divine pedagogy, had. The sacred text is full of these warnings. For them, they had the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy of Holies, the Bir, and this is precisely given to us, for all that is there is but a type and a shadow, and we are not to cast it aside, but to get its deeper meaning, which therefore invites us to not more but less reverence for the All-Holy. In the book of Joshua, they reach the Jordan when they're about to come into the promised land. The Lord is going to perform a great miracle to open the Jordan for them. But they have precisely the Lord's power amongst them, represented by the Ark of the Covenant. And what is the respect for this that we have? When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, says Joshua to the people, the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, being carried by the Levitical priests, then you shall set out from your place and follow it, that you may know the way you shall go. Notice they are led, they want to know. For you have not passed this way before. Yet, notice, there shall be a space between you and it, a distance of about 2,000 cubits. A cubit is that measurement. Do not come near it, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. So sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. Preparation. Sanctify yourselves. That means what it says. The interior obedience is the adoration in spirit and in truth the Lord wants. And therefore, if we come to Him also with presumption on our soul that we have no need today of preparation, we just arrive, and we can even have a full stomach. Again, the will of the Lord is manifested by the Church, which physically prepares us with at least 1 hour without solid food or drink. But more than that, if we arrive out of breath and distracted, what kind of preparation is that for the King of Kings? In the great classic of Saint-Exupéry, we have one line which is worth memorizing. It's when the tamed wolf, the friendly wolf, is waiting for the little prince to come. And then when he comes, he says this to him: Il faut préparer le cœur pour la rencontre. One must prepare the heart for the encounter. Lovers do that, do they not? We just arrive out of breath in time, with our head full of what's just gone before. We're fitting in this bit. There's a lot to be said for the virgin moment of dawn. As the sun rises, one meets the rising sun itself in the tranquility of emptiness and stillness, before the head is worried, before the body is filled. And so it is that if we want adoration in spirit and in truth, we listen to His will and we are guided. And the will of our God comes through the Church. We can't bypass that in view of something more direct. Listening, therefore, to His revealed will in the rubrics, in the general instruction, and we are kept safe, if also our heart is calm, receptive, and purified in the precious blood. It pains our God and His angels to come into a troubled soul that is not at peace, that is full of unconfessed sin. It also troubles our God when, like Judas, we go out immediately afterwards without thanksgiving. That was shown to Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, how much it pained our God, this sin of going off like a thief in the night, without thanking God for the very fullness which all the rest was but a patient preparation. Many centuries waiting for what we have and can't be bothered to take notice of in the proper way. Questa vigilia del Corpus Domini è un invito a penetrare il mistero che abbiamo in mano. Tutta la legge, tutta la pedagogia dei profeti è una preparazione lontana alla pienezza che abbiamo noi. L'adorazione in spirito e verità è fatta di cuore e la facoltà principale è quella della volontà. E la volontà è quella che ama è quella che comanda, e dunque l'esecuzione della volontà dell'amato va seguita nella celebrazione, nelle rubriche, l'istruzione generale del messale, l'obbedienza a quella persona che aspetta adorazione concreta, che vuol dire obbediente. Non c'è presunzione di piacere a Dio, che noi andiamo contro la sua volontà manifestata dalla Chiesa. Cerchiamo questa grazia in questa festa che arriva, adorazione in spirito